The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.
We're so pleased to have an incredible bluegrass artist on that you're going to be hearing a lot more from. She's award-winning, in fact, one of the 8 must-hear artists by Billboard magazine. I've got Caroline Owens on. Caroline, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. How are you?
Doing great. You know, after I heard some of your songs, even before I heard the full new album, your self-titled album that came out in May, I had to have you on the show. Because so many great songs, and in fact, one of the songs you did has gotten a lot of attention, and obviously, you know, on the charts with Darin and Brooke Aldridge.
No More Blue Moons in Kentucky?
Right. What a great song.
Well, thank you. They sent that to me when we were looking for material, you know, for the record.
Right.
And they had sent it to me, and I'm a big-time fisherman, and I was standing at the pond, and I had my rod in the water, and I had my phone up to my ear. I dropped the rod. Luckily, there wasn't a fish on it, but that's nothing new.
Right.
But and I said, I have got to go listen to this song in Technicolor.
Right.
So I ran up the hill, and I connected it to my car in the Bluetooth, and it just killed me. Wow. I thought, if it can make me feel this way, how's it going to make them feel?
Right.
And so Darin Brooke actually wrote this song with co-writer Dennis Duff.
Right.
And I got to hear it for the first time with Brooke singing it, and it was unbelievable.
You know, you're such a well-kept secret, but obviously not a secret to all of us because, I mean, you've been winning awards since 2018, and you've gotten a number of Bluegrass Awards, and also you're up for a Josie Award, you know, this fall. I mean, you know, how have you been doing all of this, creating all this music and this great album? And, you know, like you and I were talking before we came in studio too, Caroline, to where it's like the songs and with the band and with the mandolin, banjo and everything else you have coordinated, but your voice just shines, you know, the vocals. I mean, how is this all coming together?
Well, thank you for that compliment. I have a lot of help, and I think that's very important to note because I couldn't do this by myself.
Right.
Of course, I do the singing and the talking and the picking, but I mean, it's really a team effort. Mm-hmm. So much goes into this, and I have to thank my producer, Darin Aldridge,
right,
who produces and played the guitar on the record.
Yeah.
I didn't lift a finger, probably for the best. And he played the mandolin, and he was just fantastic. So much goes into this, and I'm such a small part of it.
Well, but I think you're a huge part of it with your talent and also with your co-writing. You and I were talking to where even though, you know, you're based out of, you know, Denton, North Carolina, to where you come into Nashville almost every weekend. Yeah. Doing songwriting sessions, and you're writing with some of the top songwriters here.
Well, thank you. I'm very fortunate. I just signed a publishing deal with Billy Blue Records.
Great,
and so
great
I got
company.
to do a lot of writing through that, and they picked me up for my song Heartbreak Train, which I wrote actually by myself. So that was interesting to go from writing alone to writing with people.
Right.
And I prefer to write with people, but I like to write alone still, just don't do it as much as I used to.
Well, and I think, you know, like you and I were talking, Caroline, too, and I know for a lot of, you know, young artists, you know, sometimes it's hard when you're used to writing your songs alone to have co-writers, but also with the co-writers that you're working with, writing these songs, when you're working with some of the best, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. They're pretty incredible. My first co-write ever was with award-winning Donna Hughes. And she lives just up the road from me, which is what was really convenient.
Right.
And I was very nervous, but I thought, I'll go to Donna because she'll be very forgiving. And I just didn't know what to expect. And that's been so many things here in town, not just writing. You know, when you're trying to navigate things, essentially, not really by yourself, but as a new artist.
Certainly.
It's very interesting and can be sometimes discouraging, but not always.
Well, I think you're making all the right moves with your music and with your band, New Company, which is kind of interesting because not only is it called New Company, it's a new company of musicians.
Yeah, I thought that was something we could just kind of play around with because I love my band and I didn't want to just be Caroline Owens because there's so much that goes into Caroline Owens that makes it what it is. And of course, this record that we're talking about now, the debut album, we're session musicians, and I love all of those session musicians, but we're excited for our next record to be Caroline Owens and New Company, which will feature our band members, Chase Bennett on the banjo, Spencer Strickland on the mandolin, Zach McClam, 2-time SPBGMA Bass Player of the Year on the record, and our brand new fiddler, Ella Thomas from ETSU. Yeah.
And just amazing artists, which it makes sense, I think, to have that kind of group, especially with the level of music that you're creating. Because you and I were talking, you know, when I listened to the full album, which I certainly recommend our viewers do as well, because it's such a strong debut album. But not only is it great bluegrass music, which I love, but you've also got country in there. And you've got swing. You've got a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? It's not just, and there's nothing wrong with straight bluegrass, but it's a nice mix.
We tried to do that. We're like a crock pot. You just throw us, you just throw us in there, and we'll come up with something. But no, we really did try to do that. Try to respect, you know, the people who came before us, and do a lot of that bluegrass stuff. But that swing tune is Patsy Cline.
Right.
You know, but it's got fiddle instrumentation with Brian McDowell, who played the fiddle on that, and. So, you know, you just have all kinds of different things. And No More Blue Moons in Kentucky and He Loves Me Not, it's grassy, but it's also country. Right,
it is, both of those songs, in which I enjoy both of them. I've got to ask you, though, you know, because I know I have my favorite songs on your debut album. What is your favorite song?
Oh, well, I try not to listen too much to myself. I'm a little critical of myself, so
we all are.
To say I have a favorite may be tough. I grew up in the church, and so I'd have to say my favorite is Build Me an Ark.
You know, that was my favorite too, and your vocals just soar on it, but I just love the song.
Well, thank you.
You know, and I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people. I got to bring this up too, to where some people may not know this about you as I do, but you started singing at only 2 years old.
Yeah, so about 7 years ago.
And we age so well, but it's like going,
we do.
You started, I mean, that's young, Caroline.
It is very young, but I had a very forgiving audience. And so my grandpa was a preacher. And so I grew up in the church, you know. I saw, you know, everything, and I got a very good introduction into performing very early on.
Right.
Because I could just stand behind the podium and no one would see me. And so I would hold my little mic and I would sing every Sunday for, gosh, my entire life.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and I mean, how does the family feel now as your career is blooming? Certainly with this album, with the attention you've gotten on the charts, you know, it's one of these albums, and I told you, I think it's a hidden gem.
Well, thank you.
And I know that people are going to enjoy hearing it and seeing you and your band perform live, but I mean, what does the family think as you've kind of pursued this dream? And I got to bring it up too, because you won't. You've shared the stage with Alison Krauss, one of your influential people, Ricky Skaggs, you know, Darin Brooke Aldridge. I mean, all these people that you've shared the stage with too.
Well, I didn't get to share the stage with Alison. I shared a couch.
Well, still counts, you know?
She was pretty amazing. I looked up to her so much, and I'm just so enthralled by her. That was actually what got me into this genre to begin with, was her music. Like I said, I was in Southern Gospel, and so I didn't really have an introduction into any other genre, really. Right. We knew of bluegrass and we knew of country, but it wasn't something that you really focused on. And so when I started playing guitar, that was a really good introduction.
And the family has to be very proud of you.
They're very disappointed.
No, they're not.
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I know it cuts into your fishing time a little bit.
It does, but you got to have balance. So we balance between the two, but I really don't have a lot of time to fish anymore. I fish on occasion, but we just went the other day, actually, and I caught about 10 or 15 brim. It was bam, bam, bam. I got lucky.
Well, it's also handy when you're fishing and you catch a good song.
Oh.
It's like dual catches. You know what I'm saying?
Dueling banjo.
You know, and it's so exciting, though. I mean, with everything that you're doing, I know you're planning a big tour coming up also. Yeah. You know, with these songs, though, you know, and certainly with your previous catalog that you've had, you've gotten a lot of awareness. It's you know, what's your plan to keep growing this besides constantly coming to Nashville and co-writing songs?
Well, we're excited to get the band out there and do the band record, which will be coming out, I can't say when, but it'll be soon. Not too soon, because my debut album just dropped. But we hope for it to be soon enough and get the band out there and get to touring as heavy as we can do.
Well, and I've got to bring this up too. You play one of my favorite acoustics. You've got a pre-war Martin. And so you're kind of a Martin acoustic guitar lady, and that is one of your instruments of choice. Are you taking that one on the road, or are you taking other guitars on the road?
Well, I like to take that one on the road, but it scares me.
It would be
too. You know, because I always have to take it as my carry-on.
Right.
I'm too scared to throw it underneath the plane.
You have to buy it a seat.
So, you do, and it's worth it, and it's very quiet.
Yeah. Doesn't eat any of the snacks or get drinks or anything.
No, that's my job.
Yeah. Well, you know, and also I've got to bring this up too. You're already endorsed by Page Capos.
Yeah, that was really neat. I love Page. I've loved their work, and so when I reached out and they gave me a capo, I thought, oh, this is great. You know, and it's a very great capo. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
And It pairs well with the blue chip pick.
Oh yeah, well you can't. That sounds like a match made in heaven for bluegrass.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love that, and so of course Paige has been. I also use an Elliott as well, but I'm mainly my Paige because I'm endorsed by Paige.
Right.
But I swap off between the two sometimes. But yes, I love my pre-war. I love my Paige.
You may need a couple more guitars then too.
I do.
You always need one more.
Don't you know that?
I do, yeah. I mean, it's an addiction, but a good one, like we
Yes.
talked about.
Yeah,
There
cheaper
could
than
be
other
worse.
things.
Yes, but I want to make sure for our viewers, because I know that the album, your debut album, Caroline Owens, is on CD and also on digital platforms, which I listen to it on digital, and I just love this. I wish it was on vinyl, but I know that future albums will be on vinyl.
Yes.
And certainly with the tour and everything else you've got going, where do our viewers need to go for a website, for social media,
Yeah.
to keep up on your travels? Like even when you go to New Orleans and other fun places, they can see you fishing. Where do they need to go for your website and all social?
CarolineBand.com. There's
Okay.
a tour schedule and a host of information about the band and everything. So make sure to go on there and don't miss that. And then my Facebook is Caroline Owens and Instagram is the same.
That's awesome. I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see you performing live.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I know that you and your mom get to stop in and go to the Opry, but I think it's going to be a matter of time when you're performing on the Opry, and then we come and see you. And so that's going to be a fun time.
What a thrill that would be.
Well, I think it's just a matter of time. And I'll
thank
tell you
you.
what, I love the new album. However you consume music, whether it's digital or CD, and be sure and go see Caroline Owens and the New Company live. Check out the website, social media. You're going to love this album as much as me, and every song is just a gem in this. So,
thank you.
Caroline, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
The Rocket Review is sponsored by Why Not Saloon.